ain't got time for make-believing. My time is short, but I'm here to stay. No politics will cure the grieving. So I choose my life, and I choose it my way. Just like the wolf, I'm getting hungry. The law of the land, it is my will. And I ain't got time for staying angry. But I got the time to make a kill. Watch me kill. I'm gonna live to bang and crawl. I'm gonna live and I'll live my way. Watch me live to bang and crawl. Watch me live an extra day. The red man walked on a secret hillside. The black man, he runs through Africa. But my daddy stopped the amber prairies. We all gotta live by nature's law. Watch me live. I'm gonna live to bang and crawl. I'm gonna live and I'll live my way. Watch me live to bang and crawl. Watch me live an extra day. Oh, yeah. Don't you worry about me, 'cause I can and I will survive. I'm running with the pack, baby, and I don't know if I am alive. That night won't bother before me. I can use my own two hands. Best believe me, I can live all the land. Oh, yeah. The red man walked on a secret hillside, and the black man still runs in Africa. Fredberry stalked the amber prairies. We all gotta live by nature's law. Live. I'm gonna live to bang and crawl. I'm gonna live and I'll live my way.
Great job. Ted Nugent, where's Ted Nugent? Where's Ted? Huh? Look at you. You doing well? You are a handsome devil. Thank you. Great job, Ted. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.
And now, it's time for Ted Nugent's Spirit Campfire with John Brenkus. It's the physics of spirituality with attitude. Powered by Patriot Mobile. Switch now. Go to patriotmobile.com/Ted.
John, you have no idea. Well, I guess by now you do have an idea. But when I get into my man's cuckoo's nest with this, by the way, hello, everybody. It's the Ted Nugent Spirit Campfire with John Brenkus and Courtney and Herbert and all the shit kickers in the asset column. But look at this blonde. I love blonde. I love
dude,
this is
I
a
cannot-
1968 that I have not tattooed yet. I got this from a chap in North Dakota just a few years ago. And I had my local Central Texas luthier czar, the man who fondles guitars into supreme delivery of sonic bombast. His name is Rick Shaw, and Rick intonated this, double-checked it, anchored the bridge for me. It's a pretty sound, but it's got such a bite. Literally, John, it's like a Nantucket sleigh ride every time I grab a Gibson Birdland. Happy February 15th.
15th.
What, John, you
believe that?
told everybody that you are my Valentine's. Have you unleashed that little ditty yet?
I do. You want to know what I got my wife for Valentine's Day? This is a good one.
I don't want to know, but go ahead, share.
I'm going to tell you. Here's what I got her. I gave her space.
Yeah.
said-
John, that's what I gave Shemaine. I gave her the entire state of Florida. Go for it. And by the way,
I said, you know what? This is how much I love you. Go do something by yourself and be away and do whatever you want. I'm giving you space, and that is the greatest gift of all.
if you truly love them, set them free. Well, Shemaine
That's
is down
right.
in Naples. But I got to tell you, let's start off this. It is the 15th. Is that right? Is the day after Halloween?
It is the 15th, yeah.
The day after Halloween. But anyhow, we often use an accurate description of current events that seem to be increasing in the column of clusterfuck exponentially since you and I first met. It's just a staggering, fascinating time. But just the indigenous conditions, we are in, dare I say, a stranglehold of record low, dangerous, freezing temperatures here in Texas.
Crazy.
The entire bottom floor of the Nugent Castle, there is no furnace. The vaporization outlets have froze solid. The earth is frozen solid. The dogs are always in the house. But I have been working all day. We had the water stopped in the bunkhouse. We had to go down there and shut off the main water valves. I've been out with my trusty Greenworks chainsaw. It's an electronic chainsaw. By the way, I love my old gas chainsaws, but I got this Greenworks chainsaw, and I'm cutting down all these heavy coniferous limbs to create windshields and wind cover, some thermal cover for the animals, because these temperatures are so brutal in Texas right now, John, literally setting world records every day. It's going to be the world record tonight. It's supposed to be 17 below zero.
Jeez.
And I'm telling you, I'm really scared for my antelope. I think it's already dead. We had a beautiful African scimitar horned oryx calf born. I went by it, the sun was coming out, but it was still only 10 degrees, 15 degrees maybe. And the mother was nursing it, and I saw it a quarter of a mile away, so I stopped my Bronco and I backed off so I didn't disturb the nursing mother. But I can almost guarantee you, even though I busted my ass all day with the chainsaw, creating thermal cover, little caves of coniferous limage, where the animals, they will find a windbreak, because the north wind is brutal. But I got to tell you that those antelope, they give birth, they drop their calves in the brush, and then they leave. And they go off with the herd, and they come back later. Well, when this cow comes back later, I'm going to go look all day tomorrow. It's kind of a balance between looking for the animals to help the animals increase their feed, especially the BTUs. A lot of good digestible protein and fat right now. The custom feed. We have a new feed supplier, Tall Tines. Tall Tines has the ultimate nutrition. So I'm out there just pounding the additional feed for the animals. But I can't believe that little calf will not be dead tonight. It's that horrible here right now. It's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's amazing, weather phenomenon when they come around like this. I mean, if you look at a map of the United States, you have to go to like south of Tampa to get anything above 60. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable. So I would like to start off by saying hello, John. Hello, Courtney. Hello, Herbert. Hello, shit kickers around the world, especially you people from New Zealand and Australia. We love you madly. But we love all of you here, especially maybe even the people who came here to go, well, that damn Nugent, he's a son of a bitch. I'm just going to go check him out and see if I can build up some more hate for him. You're welcome to the campfire, too, because I believe that this Johnny Be Good and this Teddy Be Good will just stink up the room with such love and affection and empathy and passion and positive spirit and energy that even the naysayers will not be able to leave this spirit campfire without at least a hint of how you should conduct yourself towards your fellow man. That's what I think.
I keep saying it. I think the new term is going to be classically liberal. That is my new brand that I believe. I'm going to make shirts that say classically liberal. I love everyone. I believe everyone should be able to live a free life. You should have free speech and say what you want. I'm classically liberal. I am liberal circa 1985, and I'm proud of it.
You're the original liberal case of
original.
Whatever will be. If you don't want to own a gun, by all means, don't own one. If you don't want to kill deer, by all means, don't eat meat and don't kill deer. But here's a recommendation. Leave me the hell alone, because I am willing to leave you the hell alone. But I'd like to start tonight by saying thank you to Patriot Mobile. We got to give credit to these great people at Patriot Mobile. I got to tell you, John, I've been hearing from a bunch of great people, and I just want to reiterate that I continue to pray for and support the great Donald Trump. And I got to tell you, with this cancel culture, this hate and dishonesty and hypocrisy, I want to give a big salute to the MyPillow Mike Lindell guy. I've been watching him lately, and he's a patriot. He's an entrepreneur. This Spirit Campfire is about supporting those who create positive energy and create jobs, create quality products, the man in the arena. So a big salute to Mike Lindell, big salute to Tucker Carlson. And I want to mention a bunch of the media guys that I've been doing, celebrating truth, logic, and common sense with forever. The great Joe Pags, he's got shows all over the country. The great Mark Davis in Dallas and around the country. Michael Berry, Frank Beck, Lars Larson, Joe Rogan, Adam Carolla. I did stuff. I've done media with everybody, and they've always been very accommodating and supportive once I lay out the truth, logic, and common sense. So a big salute to those people, because at their core, and at the core of almost everybody, I think everybody wants freedom. Everybody wants a secure house. Everybody wants the right to self-defense. I think everybody wants this self-evident truth stuff, don't you?
I do. And I'm going to throw out, because we're around the campfire, I'm going to throw out a special prayer for all of those who may not believe anything that you're saying or what I'm saying or what a large swaths of people believe. I'm going to just put out a prayer and say, listen, as long as you are not causing violence or hurting others, I am praying for you as well. And God bless you, and may the best ideas come to the surface and rule the day, because great ideas ultimately win out. Violence obviously is never the answer. And, we pray for those who don't believe the same. One of the things, I was born and raised Catholic. And if you think about, so a lot of people have, mixed feelings on, certainly religion and especially Catholicism. But my parents intentionally did not send me to Catholic school because he wanted me to have a diversity of thought. And Catholic actually means universal. So my brother-in-law is Jewish. My wife is not Catholic. And if you look at the front of the missalette of every single, when there used to be missalettes in church, now that they've taken them away because of COVID, but it actually said we welcome everyone. And the idea of, I welcome everyone. I love everyone. Que sera, sera. And if you don't think what we think, God bless you just the same.
Hallelujah. As long as they have an open mind and it's reciprocal, as long as there's reciprocity. But I've always had that. We've talked about this every time. I mean, I don't know how many spirit campfires there's been. I keep asking Linda, and she keeps telling me, and I keep forgetting. But I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 or 60 spirit campfires. And I got to tell you, I'm approached all the time and on Facebook and on the streets and everywhere I go, and the people that come and hunt with me from around the country and people from around the world. And I haven't found a naysayer yet. I did get a couple of comments that I want to dig into a little bit here. I love your music and I love your attitude, Ted, but I don't agree with your politics. Well, let's examine my politics. I believe in freedom of speech. Certainly. Have you ever met anybody that didn't believe in freedom of speech, except for the high-tech guys, the Google guys, and the Facebook guys that are shutting everybody down? This is the first time in my life I've ever witnessed, censorship in America. I've never seen it before.
Right. You've never seen it. No, you've never seen it en masse, right? So Ted, you believe in freedom of speech. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe you have the right to be wrong. You have the right to say.
You even have the right to be stupid.
Right. You have the right to be stupid, and you have, as long as it does not cause violence, and you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. We all know the boundaries, but you have the right to be wrong.
Absolutely. I think we've got a lot of that feedback. I love feedback. Yeah. By the way, that Birdland sounded pretty good. It's awful.
It did. By the way, before the show, you were playing some riff, and you were like, I've never played this lick before. Can you recreate it? Do you even remember what you were playing? Because it was awesome.
I don't. Let me. I've only unleashed a tsunami of licks. Geez, I don't. I know I was doing. No, I've never played that one before, but I like it. Literally, John, when I come down here after cutting limbs and making coniferous shelters for the freezing antelope, I come in here and it's like the horny 10-year-old Ted Nugent in a garage in Detroit with my first loud amplifier. How lucky am I to be able to plunge into that irreverent, uninhibited spirit disconnect, spirit super connect. It's really one of the luckiest things in my life that I'm able to do this every day.
Absolutely. And you know what? We are all very fortunate that we get to gather around the campfire and have you share some music that none of us have ever heard, because you've never heard it. You never played that. So I get to hear the most.
The other day you had said something like that, to just pick up the guitar, play something right away. And after a couple days went by, I was trying to think back, what the hell did I play? I can't recall what I played, but I know it was one of those pounding things. I'm a pounder. I have more pound per pound, by the way. I should have wrote pound cake, but... I always have this refrain where I come back to the tonic, to the bass chord, as I go into Lewis and Clark exploratory roads not traveled, and I always come back to that chord. But I still love this shit like I did when I was a little boy, which was 70 years ago.
Yeah. You know, you come back to the tonic, people like to say, what does it mean to write a song in a key? And the key means the notes that surround the tonic. And
I'm always starting at A, because A has such a and just variations. I don't even know where I'm going. I just slap my fingers out. All right, that's a good finger again. Take the guitar away from me. I can go on forever.
Take the guitar out of his hand. So, Ted, we have a very, very special guest who is now in our waiting room.
All right.
Why don't you tee this up?
Well, you know, one of the subjects, and I had nothing planned. That's the beauty of, I think, the Campfire. I really have no notes. I have no plans. I don't have any agenda. But today, in 2021, when we see an actual official voice of our government that says three things that may be the scariest three things in the history of America. Now, that's quite a statement. That's quite an outrageous, outlandish statement. But think of it. Defund the police, implement outrageous restrictive gun control, and release the most dangerous bad guys from our prisons. Let's examine the big three of guaranteed cultural destruction. Stop the sheepdogs from doing their job. And of course, we've seen the backlash. Those areas where they've defunded the police, everybody's going, you know, the police didn't show up when I got robbed last night. You defunded them, asshole. Come on. So they're defunding the police. They're making it almost impossible in some jurisdictions for people to get weapons to defend themselves without the police. And then they're releasing the most dangerous monsters into our neighborhoods. If that's not the ultimate cocktail for death, destruction, mayhem, rape, murder, carjacking, child trafficking, I've never witnessed anything that stupid. And I start all my days by communicating with the heroes of law enforcement. I've been so lucky to be surrounded by cops of every imaginable jurisdiction, state, local, federal, county sheriffs. I've been a sheriff deputy in Lake County, Michigan since 1984. But one of the greatest moments in my life, John, was when I was invited by the U.S. Marshals to conduct the Falcon raids in Texas. That's the federal and local cops organized nationally, where they're going after a bunch of these recidivistic monsters. Again, murderers, rapists, carjackers, stabbers, shooters, felons and monsters. And a lifetime dedicated warrior of the U.S. Marshals, a friend of mine from Detroit, of all places, Tom Smith, invited me on this very dangerous and very important mission. And tonight, I don't know where, I think Tom might be here in Texas right now, but we have Tom Smith, a dedicated sheepdog who has spent his life making neighborhoods and making our country safe as a United States Marshal. So I'd like to welcome Tom Smith to the Spirit Campfire. He's not just a shit kicker law enforcement sheepdog, but he's a hunter. He's a freedom fighter. He's a dad. He's a grandpa. He's a neighbor, and he's just an all-around great American. So, Tom Smith, where are you coming in from, Tom? And welcome to the Spirit Campfire.
Ted, I'm coming in from the frozen tundra about 2 hours south of Brenkus.
Oh, yeah. How about the frozen tundra? Thank God a couple of Michiganiacs like us can handle it. But have you talked to your Texas buddies? This is unprecedented. There's never been this much freezing temperatures in the history of Texas.
Crazy, and I think I read.
Well, we got a little bit. We got a little bit of breakup there, Tom. Go ahead and repeat that for me.
Hey, can you hear me? Am I still breaking up, Ted? Hang on, let me do this.
Yeah, a little bit. John, are you hearing Tom okay?
I'm here. Let me jump in while you reposition your computer here. There I am. Look at me. I'm not nearly as interesting as Tom or good looking. But let's see.
How about that, Tom? Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, that's better.
I think so.
All right. Okay. Yeah, Ted, back to your question. Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people, and this is a shock for lifelong Texans. But like you said, for people like us who grew up in the ice fields of Detroit and the surrounding areas, it's a walk in the park.
So whereabouts in Detroit were you raised, Tom, and what got you into the very adventurous and often treacherous lifestyle of law enforcement that you became a U.S. Marshal going after the worst of the worst like you have? What triggered that decision in your life coming from Detroit?
Well, Ted, growing up, I grew up one street over from your wife. So,
I know, yeah.
Yeah, so that area there in Macomb County, I was born in Detroit. Family moved out like a lot of people did when Detroit started heading south. And so I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit. And as far as my law enforcement career, I started off in Phoenix, Arizona. I worked 4 years for the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and I got tired of babysitting these guys, but I did learn a lot from lifelong criminals. So that gave me an edge on the street in dealing with it. And plus, I kind of had a colorful background growing up. A number of my friends ended up in prison. Fortunately, I wasn't with them when things happened. And I made up my mind that I wanted to be on the other side. I was always a fighter. I stood up for the underdogs, still will today, and did it my whole career. So it was a natural transition for me to get into that line of work. And I especially wanted to go to the U.S. Marshals because what they do on a daily basis, as you know, you rode with me. And I know there was some hubbub some years back where some people were saying you didn't, but you did. You were with me in those dark houses, no power. We're with flashlights, barking dogs, cutting corners, looking for these folks.
John, are we still getting Tom? John, you heard a couple things from Tom that really really echo the spirit.
So it was a natural, Ted.
He said he had a colorful
transition
past
for me to do that line of work.
He said he had a colorful past and he was a fighter. Does that sound like a Detroiter to you?
It does. It also sounded super trippy. Everybody accuses us of doing drugs or being crazy, even though neither one of us does. But that sounded like we were doing drugs. So. That was an awesome experience.
I think I was channeling Timothy Lear there with the breakup of
Totally.
the sound effect. No, I never was. The gonzo journalist was way different than the gonzo guitar player. I promise you that. So, Tom, you were breaking up a little bit there, but I do remember that night, and I think it'd be worth sharing with the Campfire team here that we were literally going after the worst subhuman monsters, murderers, rapists, carjackers, child molesters, drug traffickers, gun runners, just the nastiest people in the world. I hope I can get a clear tech response from you on this, because I've always, for the last couple of years, I've coined a phrase, engineered recidivism. We're facing repeat offenders because the system, the prosecutors, the district attorneys, the judges, the courts, the parole boards, they keep letting monster, dangerous, evil, violent people out, even in those crimes where they're 100% recidivistic. Child molestation, sex crimes, those aren't sometimes recidivistic. They're guaranteed they're going to do it again, and they keep letting them out. I know this is an impossible question and answer, and I know that you dedicated yourself to it, and I know the FBI guys. I know some good DEA guys. I think there's 4 of them. I know some good ATF guys. I think there's 3 of them. I'm getting really pissed off under the James Comey rule. But why can't the troops push back against the James Comeys and against the guy at Ruby Ridge that allowed Lon Horiachi to murder Vicky Weaver? Is it impossible for the troops, the boots on the ground, to challenge their higher echelon law enforcement bosses? Is it possible at all?
Ted, you brought up a very valid point, and it's very tough to, because what they can do as managers is put you in timeout in a box, and now you're made ineffective all the way. Instead of being able to go out there and do some good, they put you into a mission where you're not going to be dealing with any bad guys. And all agencies have those. ATF has their administrative side. FBI can bury you in some other division. The marshals can put you as a court deputy for the rest of your career if they view insubordination. And again, remember, the parent agency to all these federal agencies is the Department of Justice. So it all starts there. And they are the ones that put out the guidelines and either turn us loose or handcuff us.
So it really is a balancing act. You know you've got to get the bad guys. You know who the bad guys are. And even though the rules of engagement are sometimes proper, constitutional, and effective, isn't it true that sometimes the rules of engagement are not practical, are not constitutional, and are not effective? Isn't it true?
Well, we've seen that. So that's where the pushback can come, Ted. Because if you're right legally, they can't challenge you. So yeah, you can push back as a street agent, as a line person. If you feel that there was something that was an unconstitutional order, now it's going to get reviewed and go through the process. But yes, you can, but it's probably going to kill your career.
Yeah, see?
Unfortunately.
Isn't that a shame? Well, let's get into the more important stuff now, because Tom is a Michiganiac and he's a lifetime hunter. He's a gun guy. He's a real conservationist. Tom, go ahead and share with us. We've had the heroes of military, heroes of law enforcement on this Campfire, and there's been a constant pulse, a constant belief system that when you're in a dangerous career and the trauma and the emotional stress beats the living hell out of you, almost as bad as guitar playing, that you do need a soul cleansing escape in the great outdoors. And guys that have had their arms and legs blown off in Iraq and Afghanistan, to guys that have had the beat in downtown Detroit, they all say that the great outdoors, the hunting outdoor lifestyle, is the definitive escape from all that trauma and all that stress. What role has it played for Tom Smith and your sons and your family in your lifetime?
Ted, you're absolutely right. It does cleanse your soul. Just being in the woods, listening to nature, taking an animal is secondary to the experience of just being out there. And true hunters or true sportsmen, which are one and the same, always give more than they take. I'm feeding wildlife as you are right now. And my kids, it's a family thing. I've seen your family, just even bringing up Fleetwood. He's been hunting with you. It's a bonding experience that those that don't do this don't know what they're missing. It is truly a connection between, father, son, grandson, family member, and even a stranger. You take a kid out, which you've done. It's something, unless you experience it, it's very hard to explain. But those that have done it know exactly what we're talking about. It's wonderful.
Yeah, my sidekick, John, has been a spear fisherman. That's kind of like an aqualung version of a bow hunter for deer. And John is about to be baptized into the great world of the mystical flight of the arrow and backstrap fever when he's coming to the Nugent Ranch here, probably for my auction. I'm having a big gun and guitar memorabilia auction on March 5th and 6th. So, John, have you noticed that no matter who we bring this subject up with, especially those that have experienced extreme trauma, that has scarred many lives, that they always talk about that tranquility. They don't talk about killing. They don't talk about gut piles, even though those are all legitimate points. But if you notice what Tom said, we've heard from everybody. It's personal, but it's ubiquitous.
Yeah, it really is. It's really about the quality of the people who we have on the campfire, right? And who we share, who we choose to share time with. What's interesting is that a lot of people only want to sort of deal with a headline or just one idea, and they don't listen to the people who are actually out there on the front lines or people who actually have relevant experience to a particular issue. So that's why we're grateful to have people like Tom and every guest on the Spirit Campfire for certain.
Yeah, Tom, there's going to be a time where when John comes down here, we're going to try to get some of the other heroes that we've had on the show. And since you're over in Burley, you're only 3 hours away. In fact, I think that Rob Burley of Burley Auctions, people go to burleyauctions.com. That's B-U-R-L-E-Y, burleyauctions.com. I think Rob's probably watching the Spirit Campfire because he was on with us. He's going to come on again before the big auction at Tucker Hall in Waco on March 5th and 6th. But since you're right over in Burley, you're close enough. You could make the drive here once the ice goes away, couldn't you? I think we might be losing. I think
he might be frozen. I think that all of this freezing is happening because of the Texas weather. It's just knocking down power lines.
Earlier, John, I did a Skype, or I tried to do a Skype with Joe Pags for a national radio show, and I was in the man cave, and I was on the same Mac, and my Skype had disappeared, and I wasn't getting a signal. And right now, I wish I could turn the camera around because I got a beautiful fire going in the fireplace in the other room because the furnaces have died on our bottom floor here, and I'm worried like hell about frozen pipes and everything tonight. So I think the dogs now are going to snuggle by the fireplace. But we're going to try to have Tom on again because he's a great American. He's really put his life on the line, and he represents that working hard, playing hard, shit kicker pulse that has been so consistent here on the campfire. So if Tom can hear us, Tom, I'll get a hold of you, and we'll try to set it up when the Mother Nature isn't freezing the internet and the Wi-Fi. Because Tom's got some great stories, the things that we shared together. We really went in to the hell zone together, guns drawn, kicking down doors at 3 o'clock in the morning in Central.
Since everybody's joining us around the campfire, Ted, I think that what you should do is pick up your guitar and write a song about the frozen tundra of Texas. I mean, that's something listen, for the guy who makes up licks out of nowhere, you now have a subject matter that you've never had to write about, the frozen tundra of Texas.
I think it should happen. ice starts to go up your ass and destroys the entire day. But you know what? I improvise, adapt, and overcome. And me
That's
and
right.
Happy Sadie and Coco have been going wild all day. And let's have a prayer for the wild things, because I predict that we're going to lose some antelope, some black buck antelope and some oryx antelope, because the temperatures outside, the dogs are curled up around here right now. But for everybody out there, not only Texas, John, all across
Yeah.
America.
Oh,
people
yeah.
are
It's freezing here in Georgia.
Their asses off. And again, these aren't just really cold weather that the Detroit guy can't handle. I can handle anything. I've been outside in all day. In fact, I approached the frozen ice storm with glee like the buffalo. I look for the storm. I head straight into the storm. I look for the nastiest blow right out of the north, and I get in that four-wheeler and I just head right into it. And then I go to work with the chainsaw, and I double-check the water. I double-check the duck ponds. I was throwing a bunch of logs and stuff into the duck pond, breaking up the ice today, but I come back an hour later, it was already frozen. So this is a very, very dangerous time. People in Texas are without power, which means they're without furnaces, which means they're without heat, and it's going to be 17 below zero tonight. And they're having rolling brownouts where they have no power and no furnaces. So
Now, were the brownouts, were the rolling brownouts planned ahead of this, or is it just coincidence?
Well, first of all, I love Texas. I love Texas. I could live anywhere in the world I want to, and I do. I live in Texas. I think Oklahoma might be better. I think South Dakota might be better. And I think Florida right now, Governor DeSantis, he's the greatest governor in America. And Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota is number 1A. I mean, they're both outrageously constitutional, we the people take care of business governors. But here in Texas, I love it. But I'm going to go ahead and say a couple things that are going to piss some people off. And they can go ahead and examine the evidence and see that I'm 100% correct. I have never seen such pigs in all my life. The trash on Texas roads is unrivaled anywhere. And I'm from Detroit after the 67 riots. I've seen ghettos. I've seen downtown Little Rock. I've seen Philadelphia. I saw Soho. I've seen footage of over in India where they take entire dump trucks of garbage and plastic and dump it into the river. John, the littering in Texas is, I'm an Indian on the hill looking at the trash, crying as they desecrate Mother Nature. Number two, the worst drivers that ever got behind the wheel are in Texas. And I pray for the poor people that were killed and their families and injured in Fort Worth the other day. Over 100 cars smashing into each other, solid ice roads. They're driving along like they're in the Bahamas in June. Texans don't know how to drive, not just on ice, but they'll pass 50 left lane for passing only. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. I'm in the left lane. There's no other cars. I'm here all by myself. There's another sign, left lane for passing only. Da-dum, da-dum. They won't get out of the left lane. And they block behind them is 60 cars, and in front of them is 8 miles of open highway, and they
What do you attribute that to?
I think there's a spoiled that I attribute to the same reason that Beto O'Rourke almost beat Ted Cruz. And the statistics from Hunter Nation that I think the number was 60%. Think of this. 60% of licensed hunters in Texas are not registered to vote. There is a dum dum. I'm going to watch Hee Haw tonight. It's a documentary. They're sound asleep. Not everybody, only the guilty need to feel guilty. And all you Texans that are getting angry right now, that's guilt.
Wow.
If I'm not describing you, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people that don't get out of the left lane after passing all those left lane for passing only signs. I'm talking about the people that are going to take a left turn. They don't get out into the intersection, so they're behind the line, and everybody who wants to make a left turn, nobody gets to because that guy wasn't in the intersection to make his turn. I've never, and then the trash. If you don't throw trash out your window, you're not a litterer. If you do, you're a pig. And you have no respect for don't mess with Texas. Somebody call me when that starts. I'm telling you, John, every day we have to go up our road and pick up beer cans and pop cans and McDonald's bags and Dairy Queen bags and sofas.
And sofas.
Who throws shit along the highway other than a complete doofus? So everybody out there, if you're getting angry at me, that means you think I'm talking about you. And if you think I'm talking about you, maybe I am.
One of our Campfire participants here just came up with a great new verb. Don't California my Texas.
Yes. Except guess what? Those aren't California people doing that. Those are Texans doing that. Everybody in Texas goes, the people who moved here from Illinois. No. That was a Texas cowboy threw that shit out of his window. And by the way, there was an episode, a heartbreaking episode, John, where 23 Texans were slaughtered at Libby's cafeteria by a guy named Hernard who drove his pickup through the window. All 23 good Texans were slaughtered because they didn't have guns on them. The guns were in the truck. Texans without guns were slaughtered by a maniac with a gun, because when a maniac has a gun and you don't, you are unarmed and helpless. And those people that died at Libby's, those weren't from California. They were not from Illinois. Those were great Texans who obeyed an unconstitutional law that said you can't bring your gun into a cafeteria. Well, guess what? I have the right to keep and bear arms on planet Earth. I have the right to freedom of speech on planet Earth. I have the freedom to choose my religion on planet Earth. I have the freedom to keep the government out of my private affairs on planet Earth. I have the freedom to assemble to address my government's misbehavior on planet Earth. And I don't need paperwork and I don't need a permit. Come into my cafeteria with your pickup and start shooting people. I will cut you in half. And then I'll finish.
Whoa. Easy.
Yeah, it would be easy.
Yeah, easy. So here, I want to go to the room here. Here's one thing in our chat room. We have a lot of people who are saying, Ted, what do you think about the cold weather? Is that a sign of any kind of climate change, or is that just a fluky weather phenomenon? Let me answer first. It's just a fluky weather phenomenon.
No, John, absolutely. I saw Time Magazine. I picked up Time Magazine, and it said an ice age is coming. And it said we're all going to freeze to death, and the polar bears are going to freeze to death. And I went, whoa, it's Time Magazine from 1974. That's the...
Right. Exactly. It's the, listen, strange weather events happen.
Mother Nature has a middle finger. She's using it. Yeah. Dress warm. Here's another one, John. It's 25 degrees out here recently. And I pulled into this parking lot to buy some milk and orange juice. And here's these kids. It's 25 degrees. Here's these kids getting out of a little minivan or something with sandals and shorts and short sleeve shirts. Walking into the grocery store, it's 25 degrees. I went, it's winter time. Wear wintertime clothes, you dumb. So I think you got to pay attention to your surroundings. When you pass a sign, first of all, when you pass a sign on the highway, you need to read it. And the ones that say left lane for passing only, you might want to adhere to that advice. And when it says yield, that's why. Is it Y-E-I-L-D or is it Y-I-E-L-D?
I-E. I-E. But you do understand that those youngins, youngins were, hold on. You were pulling a full-on Nugent grandpa saying, you should dress. And they go, aren't you the guy who was wearing the loincloth?
Yeah, but it was 90 degrees at a concert hall, you dumb mother. Anyhow, my point is when the sign says yield, that Y-I-E-L-D doesn't spell stop. Y-I-E-L-D doesn't spell stop and look over your shoulder, because there's a lane all for you to yield on. You got your own lane. Move it. Keep going. So I've got a bunch of points I'd like to help my fellow man with, especially in Texas. First of all, it doesn't say keep and truck arms. It says keep and bear arms. No, left lane for passing only means the left lane is for passing only. If you're not passing someone, you shouldn't be in it unless you're just a prick. And then yield doesn't say stop and look over your shoulder and wait for an extra lane to open up. And when you're making a left-hand turn, you're supposed to get your ass out into the intersection and get the hell going so somebody behind you can go forward. So anyhow, that's my little rave for the night.
I'll tell you what, we're going to find out how strong the lobby is in D.C. for those driving slowly in the left-hand lane, because this whole campfire might be taken down for violations of freedom of speech, because we are being very outspoken about people driving too slow in the left-hand lane.
Seriously. By the way, road rage, 90% of it is because people in the left lane are blocking everybody and people get frustrated. I don't. I've got a Hellcat. I go, that doesn't upset. I look like I'm upset right now, but I don't get upset on the highway. I go, well, eventually this doofus something will happen and I can squirt the Hellcat around something. So I don't get upset on the highway. It's one thing I learned a long time ago. Don't get upset on the highway. When they stop on the yield and look behind them, I go, whatever, heaven. And we're all, but there's 8, 9 cars waiting for this guy to wait for an opening when he's got his own lane to yield on. So I'm getting upset right now because I would like to help people be more mobile.
Listen, my advice has always been, I do not, you could disable the horn on my car my truck, because I never use it. Listen, I don't know if the guy or girl in front of me is some nutbag, and if a little bit of a honk is going to cause something. So I'm not in that much of a rush ever. Like, go ahead and yield. I'm not honking. I'll patiently wait, and I imagine the laws of probability state that I will eventually arrive at my location.
Well, you're witnessing Ted Nugent campfire rage, but I don't ever have any road rage. I saved my rage for the campfire where I can't hurt anybody. So
that's right.
Bottom line is I'm just looking for courtesy. I'm looking for people to be conscientious. I would never expect anybody to go the speed I dictate. So I please ask you, don't dictate speed to me or those other 25 cars that are behind you. That's all I'm saying. Be more courteous.
I'm going to ask you this, and this is a philosophical question. So when either you or I, or we run for a ticket to become emperors of the universe, which is probable, but whenever that happens, do you think part of our platform should be that speed limits are actually adjusted per vehicle and you are allowed to prepay for the right to drive as fast as your car can handle? Because if I own a Ferrari, then why can't I pay $1,000 a year and drive 90 miles an hour because the car can handle it? But if I have a little, piece of crap Gremlin, then I don't pay the $1,000 and I have to only drive 55 because it's not safe.
I'm not supporting that proposal because but I would say this, that the most important tool in law enforcement, more powerful than any tool in their arsenal, is discretion. And if it's 3 a.m. on the highways of Nevada and there's only one car and he happens to be doing 100 miles an hour, and if it's a good car and a quality car and you pull the guy over and he's a decent guy and he at least feigns apology. But you know what I'm saying? How about this? At 4 in the morning, I'm coming back from a gig. I'm coming back from a party after a gig. I'm the only car on the road. There's literally no other vehicles. I think it was downtown Windsor, Ontario or something. And I come to an intersection, there's a red light. Well, I know what red lights are for. Red lights are to control traffic flow so that everybody gets a chance to move forward. Well, it's 4 a.m. in Windsor, and I'm the only guy here. What does that red light accomplish except just get in my way? And if there's no other vehicles anywhere, why can't... First of all, they should have had a flashing red light, not just a red light. If they would have used their head, it would have been flashing red light. I would have stopped, and then I would have proceeded. So I've never done it, mind you, but the thought crosses my mind that if you're the only vehicle at an intersection in the wee hours of the morning and there's no other vehicles that need to have flow considerations, I'm going through the damn thing.
Ted, you know what? Listen, this has been a very important campfire because you have laid out some very important political principles. One, you believe in the freedom of speech.
Yes.
Two, you believe in the right to bear arms.
Yes.
Three, you believe that if you have a yield lane, you should use it.
Yes.
Yes, you should drive fast. The left lane is for passing only. And 5, if there's no one around, you run a stop sign.
No, I'm not advocating the running the stoplight.
Well,
I'm just saying it should be considered. It should when the municipalities consider when lights work. I think at the middle of the night when there's nobody around, they should just have a flashing light so I can get to go. This is a wonderful product.
Right.
Another entrepreneur. It's a product called Guns Gong Crazy. www.gunsgongcrazy.com. It's a target that when you hit it, no matter what the range might be, literally it goes Kang! So you have an audio delivery of your accuracy at long range.
Nice.
A great product called gunsgongcrazy.com. Also, I want to promote another product, a mag pump. Mag pump is a little ditty where you just pour your ammo into the mag pump, and then you pump the ammo into your magazine, and you can load a magazine, a 30-round magazine, in probably 4 or 5 seconds instead of a minute. Also, nwretentionsystems.com. nwretentionsystems.com. This is the finest holster I have ever used. Tim Anderson and his family have created. It stands for NorthwestRetentionSystems.com, but it's NW, like Nugents with attitude. NWRetentionSystems.com. It's a great product, great entrepreneurs, great family. And I just want to salute those people who create quality products for a quality experience, especially when it applies to the great outdoor lifestyle that I so cherish. I thought I would promote them.
Awesome. All right, it's top of the hour. Do you want to play us out?
I do want to play you out.
Played in a long time. You have not played a classic Nugent song in a very long time.
Which song would you
longer
like? I think I should play Dog Eat Dog.
Yeah.
Because it's the world we live in. It's a great riff. Can you see this guitar right? See how this
Yes.
So do you feel the love?
Feel the love. God bless
Kind of
everybody.
copy
We'll
from
see you
the-
next Monday night.
Your Monday night, live it up, everybody. Have a warm night. Be warm, be safe. I love America.